Hello and welcome to the East Lampeter Township Public Meeting. All participants are now informed that this meeting is being recorded. This meeting is also being offered virtually utilizing Zoom, which is a cloud-based platform for remote video and audio conferencing. The Zoom application is free to the public. The general public is therefore able to join the meeting by connection through the internet or by calling in by phone. The public is also able to observe the meeting on the Township's YouTube channel. Please continue to check the Township website calendar for any updates related to these public meetings. Agendas for these public meetings will also be available on the Township's website. Please be reminded that this meeting is being video and audio recorded and will be posted to the Township's YouTube channel for viewing. The meeting will now proceed with the chairman calling the meeting to order and identifying all other members present in the meeting room and those joining the meeting via Zoom. The chairman will then confirm those members joining by Zoom can be heard.
Good evening. Welcome to the East Lampeter Township Board of Supervisors meeting for Monday, October 7th, 2022. There are agendas at the back of the room. There are also a sign-in sheet. If you haven't done so, please do that before you leave for public record. There's no members on Zoom tonight. All members of the board are in the room and we'll be here live along with staff. Okay. All right. Please stand and join me in saying the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Tonight's agenda, item number 3 is public comment. We begin all of our public meetings with public comment for non-agenda items. So if you're here for an item on the agenda, this is not your time. This is for public comment only. Anyone email in or on Zoom?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Item number 4 is the consent agenda. We have approval of this evening, October 17th, 2022 Board of Supervisors meeting agenda. We have approval of the minutes of the Monday, October 3rd, 2022 regular meeting of the Board of Supervisors. And we have approval to pay invoices from all funds. There's a total of $269,806.71. Of those bills, there are 2 of note, $15,302.30 to ARC Document Solutions in relation to our digitizing paper files project. And then $56,000 to LEMSA, the Lancaster Emergency Management Services Association, for 2023 contribution as per our budget. Any public comment on the items for the consent agenda? Okay, Tara, none? Okay. All right. Is there a motion?
So
Okay,
Second.
motion by Mike, seconded by Corey. Questions or concerns? Hearing none. Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Item number 5 is our LEMSA presentation. Bob May, you are up. Come on up, Bob, if you would. You may need to hold that mic in your hand. You can take it out of that little holder there, Bob, if you would. And just introduce yourself. Or right out, you bet. You can be your best game show host thing with that thing, Bob.
Okay,
You're good.
good.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate your time this evening. I'll keep this to 15 minutes or less. You have a packet in front of you. This cover letter is familiar. This is what I sent to Mr. Hutchison September of 2021, asking for a 2-year commitment of $55,000. And just to refresh your memory, how we came up with that number was based on a $700,000 ask from of the 21 municipalities that we serve to do a wage increase, and it was based on distribution by call volume, which is 8% for East Lampeter Township. Second page. Just a reminder that we are a nonprofit and we are not funded by the health systems. We came out of the health system, but we're not funded by them. We have a board of 13. We have 5 community members, and the other 8 are representatives of UPMC Pinnacle and Penn Medicine LG. We are nationally accredited, only one in the county, only one of 5 in the state, and list of our stations. And we will exceed 48,000 calls for this year annualized. And we are at 170 employees. We need 200. So our vacancy rate's about 20%. Wow. That sounds like a big number. It is, but it's not as big as what most across the country are experiencing today. I know I have colleagues that are in the 40 percentile as far as vacancy rates, and it's not getting any better, unfortunately. Our fleet size is about 50 vehicles. Our budget's 14 million. And then we have a list of how our revenue breaks down on our total expenses. Next page. So this is specific to East Line Peter Township. This is a busy table, but just to oversimplify, this really breaks down into 3 types of calls. We have advanced level, we have basic level with lights and sirens, and we have basic level with no lights, no sirens. The red bar, the top right bar graph, you can see is your advanced life support calls, which is the majority, and it is 50% or higher for East Line Peter Township. Middle center, you can see the growth from about 1,500 calls to from 2014 to 18, almost 1,900 calls as of last year. This page represents the nature of the calls in East Line Peter Township. The first table is 2021, the second is 2020. Compared to other municipalities, there's really nothing that stands out as any anomalies. This is pretty consistent with what we're seeing across the board. Overdoses have come up to the top 10, and that's consistent across all municipalities. The only thing that really stands out for East Line Peter Township, vehicle accidents, it's number 4 on the list for 2021. That is traditionally down toward the 8th and 9th position on most of our municipalities, with the exception of Martin Township. I'm sorry, Providence Township.
222, 272, 222.
What roads go through Martin Township? Providence, sorry.
222, 270,
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
270, 270.
Yeah, I know where you're pointing on.
Next page is distribution by hour, or when the calls come in. These are 911 for East Line Peter Township. 3 a.m. is the slowest, and 3 p.m. is the busiest. And the busiest day of the week is Monday, and I have no idea why that is. Traditionally, if you take all 21 municipalities and do this same analysis, it's Wednesdays at 1 o'clock are the busiest. And again, I've been doing this for a long time, and I can't put in the correlation to it. And it's pretty consistent too from year to year.
It's fascinating.
Ethan, put your mind on that. There's gotta be something there, Ethan. You gotta figure that out. Holy cow.
Wednesday.
All right, the next page is payer mix. Now, what I often get is, okay, you guys bill for service. Why are you asking for money? Well, we bill, and we are fee for service, but because we bill, it doesn't mean we collect. So for East Line Peter Township, this is your payer mix. 43% Medicare, 16 Medicaid, 20 commercial, 10 other, and 11's private. Now, private is self-pay. For every dollar that we bill, we collect 48 cents in East Line Peter Township. The city of Lancaster is 32%. We get out to the Strasburgs, that gets up in the 60 cents per dollar bill. But East Line Peter is essentially right in the mean for all of our 20 municipalities. And then the bottom section is, this is Medicare and Medicaid allowables for advanced and basic. Let's use Medicaid for advanced for an example. So we can bill $300 and we have to accept assignment. We can't balance bill. So the write-off is $225. For basic level care, the write-off is $345 on average between Medicaid and Medicare. And our fixed cost is $525 per call. So every time we open up that bay door, pull that truck out, it costs us $525. So every Medicare call that we respond to, we don't cover the cost to provide the service. And that's over half our calls. So the system's broken. And this is a national issue. It's not sustainable. All right, the next page. So for 2022, this is municipal support. you can see how, what we've asked for by municipality, what we received, and what the difference is. And then the last column is the percent of calls in that respective municipality. Next page, this is membership returns for this year as of the end of August. East Drumore Township's almost 40%. The city of Lancaster is 5%. And East Lampeter is just over 18%. And that's pretty consistent for the last 5 years. And our revenue that we get from our membership drive is less than 5% of the total budget. All right, next page. So the crisis in EMS, again, this has been going on for some time. We're no longer calling it a crisis. We're calling it a collapse. It's the 3 R's: the reimbursement, recruitment, retention, and everything's driven by reimbursement. It's not sustainable. And the comments that I get when I go out and ask for support from the municipalities, and there's some that don't give, and there's some that fall well short of having what I call fair share skin in the game. What I traditionally get from some of these municipalities is, well, if the neighboring municipality would give, then I would give. Or it's not a local problem, it's a county problem. Or you need to work with your state legislators to fix this. We've been trying that for 20 years and we've been unsuccessful. I had mentioned our fixed costs per call, it's $5.25. These are the allowables for Medicaid and Medicare. And if we go out, we treat and release, which is a lot of our calls, we get $0. We go out and we do a public service, $0. We go out and do a, someone pushes the pendant on their necklace because they need help getting up. Go out of the bathroom, get to the bathroom, that's all unreimbursable. Gas leaks. And we have a lot of those. Odor of gas in the area, we get dispatched. We get dispatched to structural fires. And these are, in many cases, these are not reimbursed. And that ambulance is out of service. Next page. We've lost almost 400 ambulance services in the Commonwealth over the last 10 years. And that's going to continue. We're seeing an increase in response times, and when you have fewer ambulances in an area, the response times increase. Let me give an example. We are, and there's associated factors with this, and this happens every day. So we have maybe 14 ambulances out on the street during peak, and they're all out on calls, or we have 5 or 6 sitting at LGH waiting to offload the patient for up to 2 hours. And that's not an exaggeration. They just are held up in the foyer and they can't get the patient off. So all of our trucks are out on calls. And so a mutual aid truck will come in. That truck will get, that area will get depleted and they'll leave them back in. And so we have, it's not uncommon to have New Holland respond down in the city of Lancaster. Or it's not uncommon for Gordonville ambulance to go to a wreck on that 30 bridge. So that's considerable. And it's happening more and more every day. Next page is our financials through August. The final page is proof of a nonprofit status. And then just the last thing I want to wrap up here. I don't know if you've been following the news about the EMS authority at Northwest EMS is trying to get established. They're running into some roadblocks. I think they'll be successful. I don't know if they're going to get all 12 of the municipalities to join the authority or not. But the ones that are not embracing this have been reaching out to other service providers, including myself, Penn State Lifeline, a Lebanon County Ambulance Service, because they simply don't want to join the authority. I don't know what choices they have. If they don't join, and they still want services from Northwest, there will be a contract price, which will be considerable.
What's driving it, Bob? What's driving their not wanting to join the authority?
Two things. One is it's being seen as a tax, which it is. It'll be a $75 to $80, $75 to $95 fee per year, including nonprofits. Everybody gets this fee assessed.
Per capita, per head,
Per resident,
per resident.
per resident
address.
business,
Got it. Okay.
nonprofit.
Okay.
And if they don't pay, they'll have a lien assessed on their
Mhm.
property. That's one thing. This is what I'm hearing from the municipalities. And the other is, they feel, and I'm gonna use the how it was articulated to me when I went up to meet with Manheim, Elizabeth, Penn, Raphael. We feel like this is being just it's happening too quick. We need more time to think about it. Because there's ultimatums. If you don't join by X date, you're going to have to make a decision. Find annual services somewhere else, and it doesn't exist anywhere else. Or you will have to pay a contractor rate, or you won't get annual services. Now they'll get annual services, but it'll come from really far.
Yeah.
It's something that we may have to consider someday. You know, it's a tool in the toolbox. We've not talked about it at the board level in any sort of serious nature, but I just want to introduce the idea that this is out there, and there's 6 authorities in the Commonwealth now. And if Northwest is successful, even just bringing a few municipalities together, and again, I think they will be, you will see this getting some traction. And I know my counterpart at Northwest EMS is getting calls in other parts of the state asking about this. So this seems to be the path of least resistance when it comes to trying to find a solution, but it's not a perfect solution.
Questions? Gentlemen, come on.
How much investment, what was your balance prior to losing $1 million so far this year? Like $4 or $5 million bucks?
Yeah, in round numbers, we were at 8.2,
Okay.
and we're about 1.5 million.
Wow.
And that's being fairly conservative.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big
Thanks.
number.
Yeah.
Bob, you do this for a living. How is technology impacting and changing? Who's doing something so innovative we should hear about it?
That's a great question. So from a patient care standpoint, or from like operations?
I would say
Managing the system?
operations first.
Well, response times are vital in our business. We're using a lot of GPS technology. We can see where all of our trucks are at any given time. We can see what their speeds are. We can see what their idle time is. We can see if they can geofence. I mean, that's not really a new technology, but we are bringing that in.
Utilizing.
Safety is also an issue. Just real quick, we've had safety has always been an issue. It's getting worse, and I'll circle this back around to technology here in a second. So we've had what I consider to be 4 very critical incidents just this year. We had a discharged firearm by a police officer in the back of our ambulance. It was accidental. It was wrestling with the patient. The patient got his hands inside the holster, which was a level 3 Glock holster, and squeezed off around and penetrated the litter. And it was within 12 inches of 2 providers. I had a female provider that slashed across her chest, was seen in the emergency department by a patient. We had a dog bite on a call. Our paramedic opened up the door. Out rushed 2 pit bulls, and one grabbed a leg, one grabbed the arm. He was seen in the emergency department. The leg bite penetrated not only the skin, but went in the bone. And then we had, and he's been off work for months. Well, about 3 months now. And then we had a paramedic in one of our vehicles that his car got hit by, he was in the crossfire. It was a drive-by. His car was hit. His paramedic car was hit behind the driver's side latch, and it penetrated the door, went across his lap, and embedded in the steering column while he was sitting in the car. Wow. He got out and rendered aid to the shooting victim that was bleeding on the road. You know, still in the hot zone. So these are things that we haven't seen back, years ago. Although last year we did have 12 assaults on our providers. And assaults can be, appropriate touching by a patient, or punching, spitting, so forth. But we had 4 knife gun incidents just this year. So back to the question. So our radios now have panic buttons. So we can, our lapel mics, you can push the button and it'll lock in, it'll send a GPS signal and it'll report what's happened. So safety is a real big issue for us right now. And that's not, and this is a whole separate conversation, post-traumatic stress. We're losing employees because of post-traumatic stress. Diagnosed, career end. It's a great question. Thank you.
So just always looking for ways. There may not be some sort of revolutionary way in care or operationally, but there could be, and someone's got to be doing something somewhere in the world. I mean, I think of, countries like Israel who have, incidents that occur on a day-to-day basis in some of their cities that, they prepared to deal with certain things, we're larger cities, New York, how are they dealing with things? Or is that making its way into smaller suburban communities or, metro areas like ours? Just putting it out there. So.
Well, no, like I said, it's a great question. Active shooter, although it's more training than it is technology. But on the clinical side, we're seeing a lot of breakthroughs in technologies, especially with smaller AEDs and broadcast. There's an incident in a grocery store and a broadcast out to your smartphone. And if you're on that list, you get a notice. And if the AED goes on the patient in the grocery store, it'll also broadcast out the location. Anybody in the general area that's trained CPR can respond as well. So we're seeing some of that starting to make it in the market here. And some other high tech things like doing some very high level procedures out in the field. And so I welcome anybody from this board to come, and even just 4 hours, you'll see some of the technology in action.
Good. Thank you for that.
What's the average age of your present staff, and projecting out the next 5-10 years, what does that look like?
Well, 2 years ago, I can tell you the average age was 32. Today it's probably 28. We are seeing, I kind of have a lot of newer people and a lot of older people. That middle is shrinking. And the newer generation we handle them, I shouldn't say differently, but it's a different approach. It's a lot more hands-on than the older folks. When I say older, the more tenured. The generational gaps are becoming more and more evident with how we lead, how we manage, how we do follow-ups for critical incidents, post-traumatic stress and so forth. I think the next 5 years, I know the next 5 years, we're going to have 4 or 5 retirements with people that have been with us for many years. I am anxiety ridden with filling our vacancies. We all are in this business because there's lack of interest in wanting to get into this business. Not like it used to be where there was a waiting list. Those days are long gone. We have accepted that we're going to have vacancies in depth. And if vacancies get worse across the industry, it's going to be a breakdown in the system. Those numbers I just quoted you, or you said it, they're 2 years old. But I can certainly easily update that information.
You could. Very much. Okay.
So out of all these challenges that you have, what one, if you could solve it tomorrow, which one would be the staff?
By far staff.
Okay.
We have trucks out of service because we don't have staff. Other agencies have trucks out of service to their own staff. It's impacting the system. It's impacting response times. And we try to meet 8 minutes, 59 seconds, 90% of the time for urban areas. And we can still maintain that, but that's getting harder every day. Staffing is number one, but that's driven by reimbursement. So the model is not sustainable and something has to do it. And the lack of support, the lack of reimbursement, and people keeping their checks and not sending us their reimbursement checks is on the shoulders of our employees with lower wages and just nonstop calls, one call after the other. There's no breaks in between calls anymore like there used to be. At the end of your shift, you're still hanging out for maybe an hour to get your paper done and be back in 10 hours later. And it's just taking its toll.
Good. All right.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Bob.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You're
thanks.
welcome. Sure. Okay, item number 6, we have a presentation on the Western Gateway portion of the Lincoln Highway East Streetscape project. Forward, you want to grab that microphone and introduce yourself to the public and for public record as well.
Thank you. My name is Julie Wolf. I'm with Ritu. I am the project manager for the Lincoln Highway project that we're going to discuss tonight. I'm working with PennDOT and Lancaster County to shepherd this project through the PennDOT design process. And I'm going to turn it over now to the design engineer, Tom Lindsay, who is with KCI, and he's going to walk us through the project.
Like Julie said, my name is Tom Lindsay. I'm with KCI Technologies. We're the design consultant designing this project. To introduce the rest of my team, actually, I have Joe Passmore here from our environmental group, and Brant Keeler from our highway group is on the Zoom meeting, just in case I need some support.
Good.
Start off with the general project overview here. The project location. We're on Lincoln Highway. The pointer is not going to work, but on the left side of the screen is Strasburg Pike. That's the western limit. The east side of the screen is Mennonite School Road and Harvest Road. That's the eastern limit. Oakview Road, right in the middle of the project. That's kind of the key of where 462 and 30 and the bypass ramp and everything come together. And it's kind of the centerpiece of this project. Thank you. Purpose and need of this project. It should probably be flipped. We always do purpose first for some reason, but the needs are the crash history, mostly at the intersection of 3462 and Oakview Road. Significant number of crashes, much higher than PennDOT's average for this type of facility across the state. And also the lack of continuous pedestrian facilities through the extent of the project. And you've got the roll plot in front of you. You can see you can't walk all the way from the west end to the east end the way the sidewalks are laid out now. So that pours into the purpose. The purpose is provide safe vehicular movement and improve pedestrian mobility. You did it right when I did it.
Perfect.
I got it. So I do want to point out that this project is consistent with the township's streetscape plan for Lincoln Highway. This basically covers the areas called the funnel area and the western gateway, most of the western gateway area that were identified in the streetscape plan. So generally kind of a broad brush of the improvements that are being done, and I'll zoom in on a couple areas and show those plans. But general improvements, the main thing is this changing of the intersection of Oakview Road 30 and 462. We're going to realign the 462 eastbound lanes to come to a signalized intersection at the off-ramp from 30 eastbound. And I'll show you a plan of that later. And then that's going to reconfigure the eastbound approach to that Oakview Road intersection. So it's not this divided approach with lanes coming from 30 and lanes coming from 462. We'll complete the sidewalk connections, pedestrian crossings all the way through the project. We're reducing the pavement widths for a good portion of the project, which will increase the offset buffers to the sidewalks from the road, make it safer, and also hopefully slow some traffic speeds down too with narrowing the pavement. We'll be constructing a 12-use multi-use path between Oakview Road and Mennonite School Road. That's on the south side of 30. We'll be upgrading 6 traffic signal installations all the way from Strasburg Pike down to Harvest and Mennonite School Roads with the township's decorative signal equipment, upgraded curb ramps if they're needed, pedestrian poles, and interconnection. Can't remember me earlier. And then we'll be installing some additional fire hydrants on the north side of 30 for the entire length, mirroring where the existing hydrants are from Oakview Road to the east, and then adding some hydrants going to the west from Oakview. So then zooming in a little bit, and I'm going to describe a couple places that are representative of those general areas. If you have questions about any area that I don't specifically talk about here, we can talk about it with the roll plot there. So 462, this is down by Walmart. The Walmart driveway is going off the bottom of the screen there. The volleyball corner is to the top left. This is just kind of an orientation photo for the existing condition. And I'll show an engineering plan next. But what we're doing here is completing the sidewalk connection from that intersection to the volleyball corner where it's missing. There's a culvert that goes underneath 462 there. We're extending that culvert to complete that sidewalk connection. So here's an engineering plan. The blue is sidewalk, the yellow is pavement, and the green is grass. But we'll be upgrading the sidewalks on both sides of 462 and then adding the sidewalk connection there between the corner, the volleyball corner and the corner of the intersection. Looks like it's in and out. So then moving to the east on 462. So there's the Hawthorne Hotel, the overpass for the expressway ramp coming over. This area, really, you can see where the pavement width reduction is needed. You see all that white striping out there. We're going to actually narrow that with pavement to increase the buffers to the sidewalk and then continue the sidewalk on both sides of 462 there. So it'll go underneath the overpass, sidewalk on both sides, and continue on both sides. So then here's the engineering plan. Again, the blue is the sidewalk. The green shows that much wider grass buffer and the narrower pavement. Here's a typical section of that section. Just kidding. Back up one, please. Thank you. So that shows basically one lane in each direction. The center lane is the left turn lane onto the westbound ramp for 30. And then the wider buffers and the 6-foot sidewalks. Next slide, please. I'm going to stop trying. So now this is the intersection where we're starting to do more work. So essentially, here's where 462 is starting to approach Oakview Road. There is a single lane that turns to go down and cross the ramp at an unsignalized intersection into East Town Center. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take the two lanes on 462 and make them both turn and follow that ramp, come to a new signalized intersection with the 30 off ramp. And then all traffic that wants to continue on to 30 will make a left there. Basically, what that's going to do, next slide, please, is consolidate that eastbound approach at Oakview. So you can see, again, there's a sidewalk on the south side that's going to continue onto 30 all the way up to Oakview Road. Both lanes bear to the right, come to a new traffic signal. If you want to keep going straight across into the shopping center, you can do that. Or both lanes make the left to approach the intersection. And then here's a typical section. This is about before the eastbound lanes peel off, but you still got the 3 lanes in the westbound direction, 2 going to 30, 1 continuing on to 462, then 2 lanes that will eventually bear to the right to go to the new intersection. Still have a sidewalk. There is a guide rail there because of the grading needs, and it'll help with the protection of the sidewalk. So then the intersection at Oakview Road, seeing it again. So there's the 2 lanes that currently come from 462, the 3 lanes that come from 30 ramp. We're combining those 2 movements to make one 4-lane approach. So there will be 2 through lanes continuing on to 30, a left turn lane and a right turn lane. Sidewalk connection gets completed to the intersection. That's where the 12-foot multi-use trail picks up. We are going to continue it south on Oakview Road to tie into the township's extension of that trail. And then it'll continue on the south side of 30 to the east of Oakview Road. I apologize if this aerial is a little out of date. It still shows the hotel. It came into our engineering software. The other thing it doesn't show is we are maintaining the existing textured crosswalks as much as we possibly can. Where we're impacting them, we're replacing them. So this graphic looks a little funny because this was actually taken before those crosswalks were in place. Then the last kind of focus area I have is a little further to the east. This is down by Greenland, down by the Wawa. Again, pavement width reductions, all of that crosshatch striping will come out. 6-foot sidewalk on the north side, and then the 12-foot multi-use trail on the south side. So similar to the other slides, the blue is the sidewalk. You see the wider trail on the south side, and the 6-foot sidewalk on the north side. Another typical section of that section. So you've got the center left turn lane where it's needed. You've got 11-foot lanes in each direction, 2 in each direction. The buffers, the sidewalk on the left or north side, multi-use path on the right. So traffic control is still under development. I'll get to the schedule here in a minute, but it's still under development. We do anticipate that we should be able to maintain 2 lanes of traffic in each direction on 30 and 462, thanks to all that additional pavement that's there now. There might be some relatively short-term lane closures, and there may need to be some detours on side roads, maybe a weekend detour or a short-term detour, but we haven't worked out those details yet. So project schedule, we've been in preliminary engineering with this scope of work since late last year. We're getting close to the end of the preliminary engineering stage. We have a 30% plan submission coming up within about the next month or month and a half, which marks the end of PennDOT's preliminary engineering phase. At that time, we also will have our environmental clearance document submitted, and that will have to be approved for us to move into final design. Final design is probably going to last 18 to 20 months when we actually hammer out all the final details of the project, get the bid documents together, acquire any necessary right-of-way or temporary easements for construction. And the current let date when the project goes to construction, right now it's December of 2024, late December 2024. So construction would really probably honestly start in the spring of 2025 once the contractor would get on board and be mobilized and things like that. So we have some comment forms here. Public input is very important. We can also post a comment form on the township's website. Comment form has instructions on where to email or mail it to. It's to Julie. But we welcome any input from the public. All comments are considered and we'll be taking into consideration. Thank you. And are there any questions?
The green space on that western portion where we're dumping the 2 lanes that are going east, dumping them back over or towards East Town Mall.
Yes.
Is that green space, is that a culvert? Is it a retention basin? Is it something that's attractive? Is it a feature? We have signage we've all been looking at and working on. So can you just talk about that a second?
Right. So we don't know yet if it's going to be needed for stormwater management purposes. Probably some type of feature, not a big empty grass ditch full of water. But we have been coordinating with Hutch through the review process with the plans we submitted for space for a gateway feature, electrical service for a gateway feature as well.
Good. Thank you, Roger.
So where you're bringing the 2 lanes down towards East Town Mall,
Yes.
there has been sinkhole challenges in that area. What's your perspective on that challenge?
That's something we'll look at in final design. And it will be considered for stormwater management, definitely. But thank you for that information. And we'll look at that during public time.
Questions?
I'm trying to imagine the new traffic signal on the right around East Town Mall, same place that we're talking about, plus the next light, actually at McDonald's, and how tight they would be
Right.
and how cars might queue up. And I realize a full traffic analysis would have to be done, but it's just a tight area between two lights.
It is. Yeah, it is. And there will be coordination between those two signals.
Yes, right. We have signal system as high tech as we can.
Yeah, the adaptive
artificial
system is in
intelligence.
place and these will all be part of
Yeah.
that system.
Right. And since you mentioned that as well, one of the other things that we will be looking at discussing with PennDOT and implementing is some type of alert system for people coming off of the ramp,
Slow.
approaching that new signal,
Yeah.
because
Oh, yeah.
that signal is further back on the ramp.
Yeah.
There may be traffic queued back to
Yeah.
a point that people are not expecting
Right.
it.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
already the overturned truck sign lights, but
Yeah.
whether it's digital signing or flashing lights like that to alert people flying out off that
Good.
ramp, there might be
Yeah.
stop there.
That'd be
Yeah,
really good.
especially for, tourists that might come here once every couple years that, are going to see a new traffic condition and be
Right.
extremely confused. So,
The I'll call it the on-ramp. So the entry onto 30 West from 462. No improvements planned for that I can see at this point. Back here where we go
Oh, you
in the
mean-
morning.
oh,
Where you and I go right there.
we get on here, you mean right here?
Yeah. Anything engineering that PennDOT, you guys could do with that? Anything there that would improve what's happening there?
And what problem are you seeing?
I guess it's one lane that is basically a hard U-turn, left turn. The traffic signal there did improve that,
Okay.
and that relaning obviously improved it as well too. But just as you get on there, I've lived there around there for a good bit of my life. I know it's an on-ramp and I get on there and I punch it.
Right.
Once or twice a week. I'm behind somebody who has no idea it's an on-ramp and they do this and then they stop.
Stuff like right here.
And it's
Or they
the
just
longest
cut in.
on-ramp. I mean, it's
Yeah, cut in.
huge,
Yeah.
but it's a real dangerous thing at 6:30 in the morning when it's dark and there's semi trucks coming this way
Right.
and they're stopped. And I've seen people kind of punch it and try to get around them. And then, next thing you know, they're way out.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
It's just, it seems to me that it could use some creative engineering, even if it's just signage or widening it there. There's a grass lot there or something. Could you widen it for 100 feet or I don't know. I'm just suggesting that there's definitely an
We'll
issue.
take a look and discuss it with PennDOT.
Thank you.
Sure.
Appreciate it, Tom. Anything else, staff?
I would just say on behalf of staff, we appreciate working with Tom and Julie, and Ben Singer's here from PennDOT. He's helping with the project as well, and we appreciate the relationship and how the project has been going.
Absolutely. Julie, thank you very much for it. Please appreciate it. This is one of those projects that obviously it's massive, it's expensive, it's long-term, and there's no one here from the public to get engaged in it. So we'll all hear about this in 12 months or 18 months, and then we'll have to revisit this with the public again because they just don't come. Our social media, be great to have links out there, Tara, as well too. We were looking for content. Perfect link on social media. Just trying to get the public's attention that this is going on. So, okay. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Tom, are you fine if we put the presentation on the website?
Okay. Moving on. Let me get to my agenda here. Okay. We have number 7, old business. 7A, we have a request for financial security reduction for Byler 2725 Lincoln Highway East, 2760 North Cherry Lane. Anyone here from the public for this? No. So current balance is 2,000. The recommended reduction from township engineer is no reduction with a $2,000 remaining balance. The township engineer is saying that, the applicant, the verification of the NPDES being not completed, right?
That's correct.
Assuming the applicant, the property owner knows that. Okay. All right, is there a motion?
Make a motion to reduce the escrow amount by $0.
Second. Okay, motion by Ethan, second by Roger. Questions or concerns? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 7B, a request for plan reinstatement and time extension. Record that plan for the former CV Middle School Stormwater Management Plan number 21-26 Mount Sydney Road. Anyone here? Anyone here for this? Yes. Well, state your name for the record, if you would, please. Thank you.
Mark Karowski with K&W. We're the site civil engineers on the project.
So Mark, need to reinstate the plan. Obviously, you guys got a lot going on there anyway.
Yes.
So, some staffing changes or maybe somebody else just keeping their eye on other balls, huh?
Yeah, well, so quite honestly, we've been sitting waiting on the NPDES permit. I think it was about 8 or so months until we got our first review. This one actually required DEP involvement because it was a modification to the permit we got previously on campus for the large middle school project that was recently mostly completed. So yes, unfortunately, that we're still kind of in that pattern. We did get comments from them. We actually did have a comment review meeting with DEP and Conservation last week. The comments are, I will say, readily addressed. We don't know the time that it will take to get through that. So here we are, yes, to reinstate and extend. That is the only outstanding item, other than financial security. Ken Johnson's here from the school district as well. We've got that ready to go. I think the board actually needs to involve in that this evening. So
Good.
That's where we are. Sorry, procedural thing. Yes,
Get it?
but, that's all that's outstanding.
Good, I get it. Questions, anyone? No. Good, you're good. That's what the board says. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. Gentlemen, what's your interest?
Make a motion that we accept the request for plan reinstatement and time extension to 90 days.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mike, second by Ethan, and we're adding the 90 days on there. Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Got it, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark. Appreciate it. Yeah. Under new business, 8 new business, time extension for township review and action, reference to the Paradise Energy Land Development Plan number 22-17 Levin Road. Is there anyone here on behalf of the applicant? None? Time extension letter, looks like 90 days. Thoughts, concerns, motion?
Make the motion to offer a 90-day time extension.
Second.
Accept.
Motion by Ethan, seconded by Roger. Questions or concerns? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. All right, under action items 9A, we have a reappointment to the zoning hearing board. Scott Enterline, term ending 11/12 of 25. Scott served the full term. Did he replace someone?
Both of those things.
He stepped up and then served. Good. He's willing to continue to serve. Excellent. Tom, we said thank you very much. Is there a motion?
Motion to reappoint Scott Enterline for zoning hearing board, term ending 11/12/2025.
Second.
Okay, motion by Corey, second by Ethan. Questions, concerns, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Scott. 9B, we have the adoption of our subdivision and land development ordinance. Colin, step up
evening.
there.
Yes, so before you tonight is final subdivision land development ordinance amendment draft ready for adoption. It has been published in accordance with the MPC. You should have a copy of the county review comments in front of you. Both of those items were addressed. And Any questions?
Questions, gentlemen? Neighbors?
Just-
Back to us.
just one.
Neighboring communities.
Upper Lake Hawk was the only one that responded. We appreciate their comments, but we did not make any changes based on their comments.
Okay, good. Questions, concerns? Okay, Colin, thank you.
Thank
For
you.
doing this. Appreciate this. Okay, gentlemen. What's your interest?
Make a motion, we adopt the amended subdivision and land development ordinance as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion by Ethan, second by Corey. Questions, concerns? Staff, thank you for your time and effort on this. Greatly appreciated. Okay, those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Great.
Excellent work.
Great job, Colin.
Excellent. Thank you, Colin. Appreciate it. 9C, a resolution in reference to the use of our ARPA funds for meeting room improvements and building HVAC replacement. Ralph.
So these are a couple of projects that, because of concern for supply chain issues, I'm suggesting that the board allow us to order the necessary equipment or enter into agreements, enter into contracts to have this work completed. The first project would be to improve this room by adding microphone speakers to the room so that board members and others don't have to worry so much about microphones. And also then add a camera so that speakers wouldn't just have the back of their head on Zoom, but their face would actually be visible and it'd be easier to follow the interaction between speakers and the board. So that's the first project. And then the second project is the HVAC and chiller system for this building. It's, I don't know what we say, Charlie, it's wearing out. It's been given us trouble and, in sort of the spirit of the reason the ARPA dollars are there would improve air quality in the building as well. And that we've been told is a full year of ordering time to get the equipment. So if we're going to get this project done next year, it needs to be ordered soon. So we're asking if the board agrees that those are two worthwhile uses of ARPA dollars, that you allow staff to complete the process of gathering information, gathering quotes, and making a choice and entering into agreement to get those two projects done. And drafted a resolution to for you to consider that would allow us to accomplish that.
Both those. Good, good. Thank you, Ralph. Appreciate it. What staff, questions of staff? Ralph, in addition to those use of ARPA funds, so that what else are we targeting the use of the ARPA funds for?
Well, the discussions we had before is that those choices would be made as part of the 2023 budget process. So we expect to have discussions with the board next week during the budget workshop.
Good. Thank you very much. Appreciate that for the public's edification. Okay. Concerns, questions?
Just a comment. I appreciate both the board and the staff's willingness to, especially on the increased accessibility of our AV system. We've done a great job with the Zoom and the technology we have, but I think this helps us say we're committed to keeping this level of access to folks to be able to watch our meetings live and recorded and be able to engage and get here on a Monday night.
Great, good. Agreed.
I would
Agreed.
say it's the only, one of the negatives of heard in my short time here has been sometimes it's difficult to know who's speaking. You don't see them and you can't hear them introduce themselves. So
Yep. Good. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. Yeah, perspective.
And for those of us that haven't remoted in, it's difficult.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
yes.
Good, good. Well, thank you very much. I echo Ethan's accolades to staff as well, too. Thank you for keeping us moving in this direction. So, thank you. Okay, so we've got a resolution in front of us. Is there a action on behalf of the board?
Make a motion to approve the resolution regarding ARPA funds for HVAC and public meeting room equipment.
second,
Okay, motion by Ethan and second by Mike. questions or concerns from the board? Hearing none. Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 9D, a resolution in reference to the Mount Sydney Road mid-block pedestrian crossing analysis. Ralph.
So this is an item that the board has had conversations in earlier meetings, especially related to the development of the CV campus with the new school and the change from the middle school to the elementary school. And so I reached out to our traffic engineering firm and asked them to give us a proposal on what it would take to look at Mount Sydney Road and potential pedestrian crossing locations on Mount Sydney Road that would help to facilitate pedestrian movement across Mount Sydney Road and toward the trail system that's being developed on the school campus. So they provided that. It isn't an item that was budgeted, wasn't really contemplated this time last year. So we prepared a resolution that if the board does want to move forward with this, it would be an additional appropriation out of your capital reserve funds and would allow us to move forward, gather that information, have the analysis completed, have recommendations made. And then as the board is continuing to look at this issue, have better information available to the board as you're considering decisions related to that issue.
Great. Thank you, Ralph. I know, board, we've discussed this, a number of times, and maybe even prior to this board, maybe the last board too. We were just looking at the development that we're seeing in this part of the township, knowing the limitations of that entire cartway, that corridor from Horseshoe to 340 Horseshoe. And I know Ethan, being a biker, Ethan has mentioned it several times. I've talked about, just needing to do some interconnection, and staff has been spot on, is that there are concerns with doing this there. I get it. But we've got to get creative in trying to make that work. And so I really appreciate staff coming forward with this. So concerns?
Just that question, is school district aware that we're doing this analysis? I realize that it's not them paying for it in any way, but I mean, it does. I think it helps them, frankly, in the long run if we end up doing something, but.
Yeah, I think it would help the discussion, but no, I haven't reached out to anybody
That's fine. Yeah.
specifically there.
I mean, again, this is to do traffic analysis to even see if it's feasible, but I think at that right point is at least important to communicate, probably with Ken.
Good. Agreed. Good. Anything else? Questions? Okay. Motion?
I'll make a motion for the resolution regarding Mount Sydney Road pedestrian access analysis.
Second.
Okay, motion by Corey, second by Ethan. Would be at this point a study of this. So,
Yep.
Okay. Questions or concerns about the motion? Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. We have 9E. Back on my agenda. 9E, we have a resolution in reference to the acceptance of the Connects 2040 awards. Great opportunity here for us, Ralph. Can you give us a summary of this?
Yeah, as board members will recall, you applied for actually 3 projects through the Connects 2040 program that the county used to call Smart Growth Transportation. All 3 have been funded, 2 of them through the Connects 2040 implementation program. And those 2 were the studies of additional connections for the Lancaster Heritage Pathway as you would move west from the area of Oak Grove Drive, either continuing along Walnut Street or down Pitney Road. So both of those have been funded. The county would like the township to accept that by adopting this resolution to accept both of those awards. The commitment that the township would be making would be to fund the township's share of those projects. I can't remember if that was specific in the
20% match.
resolution.
20% match.
20% match is what is here.
Yeah.
For both of the studies, it comes to $45,000.
Total of
Total of
45,000 is
45.
our 20%.
That's
Okay, okay,
Thank
right,
you.
okay. Okay, thank you, Ralph. We've got a resolution. County needs to see that, and obviously the commitment is that East Lampere Township for both those studies is going to commit 20%, which is $45,000 in total. Okay. Is there a motion?
Make a motion that we approve both programs for the Connects 2040 and committing to our share of the cost of 45,000.
Okay, so we'd be adopting of the resolution. Okay, good. Thank you, Roger. Is there a second? Second by Mike. Okay, a motion by Roger, second by Mike. Questions or concerns? Hearing none. Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 9F, there's a resolution in reference to Act 57 tax notice for new property owners. Ralph.
This is recently enacted law requiring municipalities to adopt a resolution or an ordinance, but it's easier to do a resolution. Informing the tax collector that they should be following this process going forward. Essentially, what it has to do with is that sometimes, when properties change hands, new property owners aren't necessarily aware of all of the tax issues related to it. And in this case, real estate taxes in particular. And so this provides a waiver process that if they didn't get their notice that they should have gotten, that they can submit a waiver request and obtain a waiver for that issue. So we received a sample resolution from PSATs, and that's how this resolution was developed. And needed to be adopted sometime between the beginning of October and January. So we're at it a little bit early, but just in time.
Sure. So an attempt on behalf of the state to bring some transparency. Thoughts, concerns? Okay. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve the resolution regarding Act 57 as presented.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion by Ethan, second by Roger. Questions or concerns? Hearing none. Those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Ralph, number 10, managers report.
Yes, obviously, as board members are aware, and I hope the general public is aware, the Walnut Street extension and the Lancaster Heritage Pathway project is under construction, has been since roughly the middle of July. Things are going well. Project at this point is still anticipated to be complete by next fall of 2023. Charlie's going to the bi-weekly meetings, project meetings, and keeping engaged in that process. I think it's really cool because it's this big transportation project that's not impacting current transportation issues. So we don't have backups or lane closures or anything else to worry about related to it. So it's
So the social media picture that was up, someone took some pictures.
Yeah,
the
so
other day.
before, yeah.
Is that you, Charlie? Took the before and the after? Tara?
It was both of us,
It was
actually.
both of you.
I took the one and Charlie took the other.
Okay, all right.
That's
We
great.
tried to get it from the same spot.
Yeah, I drive by and I go by in my pickup truck and I try to look over and see, hey, am I seeing anything going on there? One day I came by and I saw the water hoses at the end of the day, just trying to keep the dust down. But it's tough. It's really tough to see.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those things where all of a sudden it's going to be there
Yeah.
and, we'll cut a ribbon and everybody will start using it.
Wow.
So I actually, one Sunday afternoon, I parked at the college and walked the whole distance out and back. But you're gonna have to, that rock ledge, you had to back walk to get down to
Get down to Pitney and Hillcross there, yeah.
Roger
rather than-
trespassing?
We would
Yeah.
not recommend.
I was gonna say. Charlie, I didn't hear that. No, it really is gonna be a unique situation because, yeah, the public will probably go, oh, that's that road. I'm assuming that maybe from some of the homes that are on the north side, maybe you can, one or two of them can see what's going on. I don't know. Maybe not.
I haven't trespassed over there to find out.
Ask
Here I am.
Ask Roger, he probably will do that for us. Roger will go there for you.
Do they use drone shots?
We have been in discussions with everybody to see if we can get some
Yeah.
drone.
It's a little too, I mean, you really have to have it carefully
Too dangerous.
planned, but of course, the high school has a drone.
Yeah.
They use it with the TV studio and so forth and in another program, so. I'm sure if they can be, I was wondering, so the mitigation for the culvert is working out. The steel plates and the asphalt, Charlie, is that working out pretty good?
Yeah, they did a real nice job putting that in. They milled the roadway out, recessed the steel plates, and then put, I think, 1.5 or 2 inches of paving over that.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a smooth ride. I mean,
It,
it's-
they did a really nice job with that. Yeah, they figured if they had good weather, about 2 more weeks of hauling, they should be complete.
Well,
And not that hauling process that we were concerned about that.
I was
appears to
out
be
there a few
going well.
times and it's really not interfering with anything. They're trying to keep the road cleaned up.
Okay.
Yeah, they're doing a good job.
Very good.
They actually started drilling for the bridge also. They have a big drill rig out there now drilling for the piers. So that's going to keep moving forward here.
That's great. That's great.
We'll go out and take a look at the actual route and see if there has been any damage, once everything's complete. But
Good.
Yeah.
All
it's
right.
been going well. So
Awesome. That's great.
wanted to report on that and just mention that the board is having the budget workshop meeting next Wednesday. And it's a public meeting. So,
Wednesday, October 26th, 5:30 PM, right?
yes,
Okay. All right. Anything else?
not for me.
Gentlemen, if you wish.
Motion to adjourn.
second.
Hold on, sorry.
I'm sorry.
You announced meeting.
Did I mention? Oh, sorry, I thought I did. Just wanted to announce that at the, prior to this meeting, the board held an executive session to discuss contract negotiations. Sorry, I thought I did that, so apologize. Thank you, Roger. Okay, so our motion,
to adjourn. Second.
Ethan, Corey, motion, Ethan, second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks, Roger. I thought I had done that.